Hi, how are you?
Hi, Beth.
Here we go. Hi, Beth. Bye, Beth.
Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to report back about
Yes.
the. I watched the toxic starting point video from beginning to end yesterday, which is an achievement. And
You need a medal for that.
I felt very pleased with myself. um, and I went off to the gym afterwards, sort of, to do my looking after the body. I was quite. I sort of thought I was going to be a chameleon, but when you were listing the things, the chameleon, I didn't really relate to it as much as the passive aggressive bully. Um, so I was quite surprised, and maybe I think you answered a question I put in the YouTube text box that you can overlap.
Absolutely.
So it sort of was quite interesting. The rest of the day, I was trying to work on my artwork, and as usual, I found it very difficult to focus. And the part in the video where you were talking about, there's always something else to do. I experienced that like full on most of the time when I'm trying to work on my artwork. And I get really despondent by it because of it. And then I'd done some things, but I'd been listening to something else at the same time, and it's okay. I did work quite focused for the afternoon, but then come the evening, I started feeling really despondent and upset and quite emotional and quite depressed, which I haven't felt for a long time, even though I've always been struggling with the lack of attention. And I felt really, I can still feel it a little bit. There's a sort of feeling behind the heart, sort of really sad, achy, empty feeling.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, I won't ever get anywhere. And it's no use even dreaming or thinking of anything I want to do because I could get there. And you can feel I'm emotional still.
Yes.
So I got up and I went to the studio today, and it was okay. I just tidied up and I've done some things. Didn't put, wasn't. So I guess I just feel quite vulnerable and emotional. So I just wanted to let you know, tell you about it.
Thank you. Can you be in a body that has that undertone of sadness and despair, and knowing that no matter what I do, I will never achieve what I wanted to achieve with my mind, and no matter what I'm striving for? Can you stay with that? Because if we can't, it's when we start to do, and
Yeah,
that is just a diversion.
yeah, I can. Doesn't feel great, but I can. And I was listening to what you're talking about in the rest of this session. I know that's what's advocated.
Do you know why it's advocated?
I guess to see through it, to see that it's not real.
Yeah, or it's the first step of it is to be with it.
Yeah.
We have such a rush in life about only wanting to feel good, only wanting to be happy. only wanting to feel amazing, and the body is pain-free, and the sun is always shining. It's basically like the ego just want inhale, 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 inhale. Never want to exhale.
Mm.
Only want, the heart to expand, never contract. Only
Mm.
want the lungs to expand, never to contract. And it's just not part of life.
No.
So there's a underlying belief about that expansion is good, contraction is bad. And that is minimizing the experience when we have it.
Mm.
Expansion is great, contraction is equally great. Being happy is great, being depressed is equally great. We
Wow.
only develop when we have resistance, when we only have obstructions, when we have when things are not going our way. It's the
Yeah.
only time in life we develop, because we're very, very lazy creatures.
I think perhaps the constantly wanting to do something else all the time
That is a diversion.
struggle I
That's
have
it.
with that.
It's a diversion from how you feel right now.
Yeah.
So for you to allow yourself to feel miserable, slightly depressed, very, very, close to tears all the time, and like a little, self-pity thundercloud. That's great. It's amazing. Go for it.
Yeah, I guess sometimes there is self-pity. Yeah.
And self-pity is great. Self-pity is great. Wallowing in self-pity is amazing.
I
If
do
you
feel,
don't do it once in a while, when would you ever find out how that feels? You will just have an idea, no, self-pity is bad. I'm not gonna wallow.
yeah. No, I do feel all those things. But I mean, I can, yeah. Okay.
Because when you're there where you are right now, and
Mm.
you experience how it is to be depressed, how it is to be slightly sad, and you're there, and you find out that, okay, when I'm like this, my paintings looks in a certain way, my thought is in a certain way, the way I respond to other people is in a certain way. Okay, I've been in this room, I've seen all of it. Next time that you're looking, that you feel great, and you start to have a hint of that self-pity, depression coming, you're not gonna fight it anymore. You're
Mm.
just gonna go, oh, I'm now going into a period where my paintings look like that, my conversations are gonna be like that, my thoughts are gonna be like that. You've been in the room, there's nothing to fear.
Mm. I mean, with my painting, and because the focus is always, this ADHD brain thing,
Yeah.
it's told I have. Um, that always feels like it's completely hindering any me getting anywhere.
Where are you going?
Where am I going?
Yeah, you said you're getting anywhere. It hinders you getting anywhere. Where exactly are you going?
Well, completing paintings and focusing solely on the work rather than listening to something else at the same time or watching something else. On Sunday, I was in the studio and I just was watching other people's videos, watching other people painting when I was hoping that I would concentrate on my paintings. And I just think, oh God, not again. Or I just just feel so frustrating.
It's about expectations again, like we talked about before. It's about expectations, that you had expectations on how Sunday was gonna pan out, you painting a lot. Instead, Sunday had all along was supposed to be the day where you watching all other people painting. If you had planned beforehand, on Sunday I'm gonna watch other people painting, you would have had a Sunday exactly like your expectations had been, and there would be no disappointment.
Yeah,
Disappointment happened because we have an expectation about something else.
I have a deadline for something. Um, mm,
So because you have a deadline, you think that that's, changing expectation? You said, but I have a deadline, meaning that because I have a deadline, I cannot do inquiry to the way that you just talked about expectation because I have a deadline.
I have to get on with the work and be organised. But I'm not organised, and I'm not
Are you
quick.
ever? Are you ever?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I can be organised. I can be.
So can you also not be organized with equally much okayness?
No, because, well, I can, but I always don't. I always want to be.
Only in the allotted time.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it
it's
feels
so
like
it's so it's so
I'm
funny
never
with all the
doing.
things we don't want. It's so funny with all the things we don't want. Okay, I'm now allowing to be disorganized between 12 and 3:30.
It's always like that. I'm always unfocused, thinking about something else and diverting. It's like, well, that's my life going to be just one great big diversion, and then it'll be.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah, go on, go on, go
Todd,
on, go on.
well, I'm curious though. You're in the studio and you're primed that you're going to have a day of painting, and then next thing you know, you're finding yourself watching video after video of other people painting. You're jumping a big step there. So what was actually happening in the period between where I'm going into the studio to paint and then you open up the laptop or something or the TV and you start watching videos? What
Uh,
happened in between there?
it's other people can do it better than me.
Mhm.
I don't really want to do it, and I don't want to focus on it because then I'm going to have to focus on it. If I watch someone else, it's almost like I'm doing it by proxy by watching them.
Yeah, and your work is I know from experience of being a musician and composer that the funny thing about it is before a piece or painting or something has begun, it has the potential of being an absolute masterpiece. And then as soon as you actually start doing it, then it starts to have a limitation to it. And it's like, and then once it's done, it is what it is. And it probably
Well,
didn't live up
they
to what
rarely get finished because
how
I start so many, and I surround myself with things to look like I'm really got lots going on,
yeah.
but nothing's getting done.
Yeah, and why is that? What is the holdup from finishing something? Can you feel what that feels like and what would happen if you finished it and it didn't come out the way that you wanted it to be?
Well, A, it wouldn't get finished, so I could always say, "Oh, that's not finished." So don't look
Yeah,
at that.
There we
exactly,
go. There we
exactly.
go.
And what is that diverting you from having to feel? What is that keeping you from feeling? Well, it's just not finished. It could be really great if I put the time into it, but I would just much rather watch somebody else paint.
Attending to it, attending to my own work, and I mean, I have improved. I'm more dogmatic. No, I'm more pragmatic about it a bit more. Um,
It's good, but we're still missing what we're pointing to. There's an emotion, there's a feeling in the body or an emotional tone that comes with knowing that you did your best on something and it still didn't live up to your expectations of it.
oh, well, no, I'm rubbish. I can't.
Well,
There
okay.
we
So
go.
what does being rubbish feel like?
Rubbish. Well, disappointing. I'm rubbish, and I yet again I'll give up painting for a bit, but then I'll always come back to it.
But,
And
but,
But
but
you're
notice
too
again, hold
quick.
on.
You're
Yeah,
too
yeah.
quick. You're
So,
too
notice,
quick.
okay. So the giving up on painting is a way of not having to feel rubbish. But the rubbish isn't really a feeling. The rubbish is still a thought that you're projecting onto some other emotion or sensation that's appearing. So you have some feeling in the body and then that has some thoughts coming up with it. They get connected into feeling like, okay, this feels like something that I'm going to call rubbish. Well, I don't want to feel that. Okay, I'm feeling rubbish because I'm such a crappy painter. Well, then I'm just not going to do it anymore.
I'm not
And
gonna
so
finish.
I'm
I'm
not going
not
to
gonna
finish.
finish.
I'm not going to finish. I'm giving up. All of those
That
things.
feeling, I don't know. I can come up with a thought and a belief, but I don't quite know what the feeling in the body is. Although I'm feeling, I have this sort of awareness of this. I don't know what word to describe it as, but there's a sensation sort of behind my heart.
Mm.
I don't quite know how to understand what the feeling is.
It's okay. You don't have to have I mean, the conceptualization of it is not necessarily helpful. It's more about coming down to what's there, because all of that other stuff, the thoughts about me being a rubbish painter and I'm gonna not finish this one because it's gonna be crap anyway, and all that stuff, that's all a way of just getting away from being in that raw state that you can't even completely define. So what we were talking about with Anne is coming back to just being with that sensation and recognizing that in a very similar way, this is holding you back from doing things that you want to do. Because if you just sat with this sensation and then painted anyway, it's here, it can be here, but I'm going to paint because it's not saying anything about my painting abilities. It's not saying anything about the outcome of this particular painting. That's what's causing you to go, I'm going to watch some people who do it better and spend the next 6 hours watching videos of other people painting. It's to keep from feeling that, which you are then taking to mean a whole bunch of other things about you that aren't necessarily true.
Well, that I'm no good and good. You know, I can do little things like cards and stuff, but I can't do painting. I won first prize in a painting competition.
But it's not. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about that. It's about that. An opinion you have about you as a painter has nothing to do with the painting. We know an amazing painter, and they are revered and held in very, very high regard. They don't see themselves as a great painter. They do not understand what all the fuss is about, because I know that I can do better than that. And everybody look at the paintings and going, masterpieces, masterpieces. And the painter still sit with the feeling, that's a fucking lie.
No.
I can do better. So there's you, by not finishing your paintings, you completely avoid that feeling that our friend is standing in all the time.
I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know if it's any, I don't know how to tell if it's any good. I don't know.
That's the whole point. It doesn't matter.
No. Good is objective.
It's an
subjective.
Opinion. Yeah, subjective.
Sorry, so good is an objective fact. you are either really good or you really suck at painting. No, it's subjective. Everybody who looks at it. I'm telling you, I'm really spacey today. Everything that everybody who looks at is going to bring to it something completely different, and they're going to have their opinions about it, and you're going to have your opinions about it. And as most artists find, the artist's opinion about their own work is the harshest of any critic that ever looks at it, because we know what we think it should be, and it doesn't live up to that. And so we
like what you said. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting
here. Okay.
Like what you said, that before you start to compose, it's a masterpiece.
It can be like the best thing ever made.
But the moment you start to put notes on the paper, it just downhill from there.
Yeah, it's just limited. It just goes downhill limited.
And the moment that you go like, this is the final composing piece, it's like, utter shit. And you can win first prizes just like Beth did.
Yep.
Win first prizes and you're ready to burn it.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling I can't apply myself. So it's like, if it ends up finished, then that's a bit of a fluke.
but is the lack of application itself a way of diverting from feeling like somebody who can finish but just doesn't finish very well?
I don't know. Well, I just put it down to my ADHD, my neurodiversity. And then I think, oh God, well, what's the point in even trying? You know, I'm never gonna.
So convenient. Super convenient.
God.
What is the motivation for doing it? I mean, you said you have, for this one particular one, you said you have a deadline.
Well, yeah, well, it's a little exhibition in a cafe,
Nice.
which is good for me. Otherwise, I'll just be wallowing around in sort of like creative soup.
But, you know, there's also a judgment that you have to work linearly. There's this idea that, you know, everybody starts a painting and then they finish the painting. Perhaps you work in a way, maybe because of your ADHD, maybe because of any other reason, that you are really good working on 100 different canvases at one time, and it might take you 15 years to finish one of them, but you'll have all of these things in progress, and that's just the way you work. I know there's that Danish, there's a Danish artist, and he's same thing, and he does multiple at the same time.
He has 20 paintings lying out, spread out on the floor that he's working on at the same time.
I think it's fear that it will come to nothing.
And so, do you enjoy it when you're doing it?
Well, no, because I'm always being divert. I'm always sort of thinking about something else, or I divert so much. So it's very occasionally I would apply myself, and I find it gratifying.
Ooh.
Then
I'm thinking,
so it just feels such a struggle.
not being able to apply yourself.
Yeah, we'll go for it.
No, you go.
No, you go. Well, before you do that, I was gonna say so I think it would help to look into what you seem to be getting out of it. If this is an interest that is causing you more suffering to engage in than not, then that might be a good question to look into. However, if it's also, I mean, what it sounds like right now is that it's a really excellent vehicle for inquiry, that it's a really useful thing to bring up some emotions about feelings of inadequacy and, you know, that you can't, because if you feel like you are humbly bumbly and can't finish a painting, then that's the same thing that you feel about everything in your life.
Yeah.
That I'm assuming that this is something which is absolutely pervasive in the life of Beth.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like,
I mean, I accept it more now. I don't, but then I do get periods where I am anxious about something that I have to complete, and I might not sleep. I get anxious.
so this is one maybe safer venue for you to inquire into. So, you know, it's one that it doesn't have like a lot of, you know, well, maybe I'll pay my electric bill, maybe I won't, you know, it doesn't have something like that. It's like, it's painting, you know, nobody's living or dying based off of this, but it's something that brings up that same sense of fear and inadequacy and agency that's really, really good to actually look into.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can feel it, so that's helpful. It's not like I haven't sort of gone down into a hole of, oh God, I'm rubbish. So I'm sort of like, I'm standing at looking, you know, I'm with it. So, yeah.
The I'm rubbish is the jumping the gap. Like by the time you're rubbish, you're way over to the other side.
Exactly. I would also invite you to go into the middle way, you know, or maybe go into being rubbish, standing and looking at the painting. Oh, this is how it looks when you're a painter and you're rubbish, and just be with that without any kind of, you know, tone to it or anything. Okay. So a rubbish painter use a lot of yellow. You know, it's just like exploring that instead of having like you know, the avoidance about it. Because if a rubbish painter is like our friend, then I would recommend you to become a rubbish painter.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are many incredibly talented rubbish painters out there.
Yeah.
And they do incredible work. So instead of
having that, instead of having that avoidance of whatever it is you are afraid of will happen, see if you can step into it and be curious.
Yeah, I think that's the key.
And without any kind of self-flagellation or anything, just go into the room and see what happens when you're there. Because like Todd says, because of ADHD, this is not only in one area, this is in all areas. And this is a very, very safe area to explore.
Be curious. Yes. I think I'm being more curious than I have used to be.
Yeah.
But I didn't think, I believed I wasn't curious enough. I think that's breaking down a bit now.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, as you were going to say also, just really quickly, also look into in those moments where you are in the studio and you are, am I going to paint or am I going to watch videos? Looking for that idea of being able to apply yourself or have a sense of agency in that moment. Be curious about what it actually feels like that can make the decision between now I'm painting, now I'm watching videos. And that should just, even looking back on it, it should give you a really good indication of the lack of agency if you sat down with the express idea of I am going to paint, and then
It's the
6
hand
hours
flipping.
later, 6 hours later, you have instead flipped the hand and then turned on the television and then watched 6 hours of painters.
Yeah.
Recognize that if you really had agency in that, you would have sat there painting the whole time because that was the intention going in. So look in that moment when it's happening and see what it is that feels like it could be choosing to make this decision or that one. What feels like it's coming up in the body, in the thoughts, what feels like it seems to be directing the ability to have a choice of now I'm going to, fill up my little paint containers and I'm going to get my brushes ready and I'm going to do this, or I'm just going to sit down and bask in the glory of other people doing something that I can't do, but it's a chance to explore all of it, because whether it's the you not being not whether it's the idea that you have a choice of whether to do this or that, and then if you find that you're now watching the painters, notice any of these thoughts that come up that, oh, they're so good, I wish I could do that better. All of these self-deprecating thoughts that come up that put you against them, and you're comparing you versus them. You don't have a television show where you paint, but we still will compare ourselves that, well, I should be as good as this person who has a televised show, otherwise, or they have,
Yeah.
really amazing videos and, a couple million subscribers on it of how great the artist they are, and I should be that good at least, and so we're doing this unfair comparison all the time.
Yeah, so comparing. I get quite obsessed about artists, and then I looking at their stuff all the time, hoping that when I do stuff, I'll be able to use that sort of style.
And there's something to be said for, artistically having a lot
expanding
of having a lot of experiences and influences. And there is, we talk about the mirror neurons and stuff. There is something to be said about watching somebody do something who does it really well. So it's not that it's a completely wasted activity. There is actually, on a practical level, for doing something artistic, it is actually super useful to watch somebody who's really good at something doing it.
But it's the self-flagellation and the attachment to an I that needs to be let go of for you to actually harvest what Todd is talking about.
Because there will always be something holding you back. If there's, okay, I'm seeing what they're doing, oh, but I can't do it that way. Oh, I don't have that fluidity, I don't have that whatever. They just see things differently than I do. As long as you keep coming back to that point of deficiency, then, as you said, you don't really get anything out of that. It's nothing free to develop that way.
And I feel like quoting Pippi Longstocking, where she says that I never tried that before, so I must be really good at it.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you.